Hey babe, welcome to Baseball for Girls, where baseball meets soft girl energy. I'm Shaughnessy, and here we do baseball with heart, humanity, and a little humor. So, whether you're brand new to the game or deep in your baseball era, you're in the right place. So grab something cozy and settle in, and let's get into today's episode. Let's play ball. Okay, girly, so you're about to walk into this room where everybody knows baseball. It's your boyfriend's family or like coworker event, somebody's barbecue, whatever. And you're tired of feeling left out, okay? Here are my 10 quick and dirty tips to sound like you know baseball, you're a baseball girly, without getting trapped in some conversation that you can't escape. Don't get trapped, girl, okay? So, for my first tip, you should pick two teams to know really well. You should know the team that everybody's going to be talking about, for sure. But then you're going to have another team in your back pocket. One team that maybe they don't really know too much about, probably, because they're in a different league or they're just like not really close to your state. But know a lot about that team. It'll give you a little bit of extra conversational ground to walk on. It'll give you something else to bounce to if you get caught up. So, learn their favorite team and your favorite team. Things you definitely need to know about both teams. Has this team won a World Series? If so, when? Or have they never won a World Series? Because that's also really important to know. One of my favorite teams, the Mariners, have not been to a World Series. I'm still a little sad about this past postseason. Don't want to talk about it. And you want to know their current or last season record. Depends on the time of the year. So if it's kind of right now, right before Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're going to be wanting to talk about the World Series, okay? That is what everyone is going to be talking about. You need to know about the Dodgers. You need to know about the Blue Jays. You need to know who are the most popular players. But here's what my next tip is. You should find two players, so one player from each team, that are underdog players, and you want to know as much as you can about them, okay? So don't really talk about the superstars. Know the facts about the superstars in case it comes up, but you want to pick a guy who's good but always overlooked, and know 2 or 3 interesting facts about him, okay? You want to know his ERA if he's a pitcher. You want to know what position he plays. You want to know when did he start on that team? Like, is he a rookie? Is he new? Is he actually a veteran player, so a player that's been there for more than a few years, 3 or 4 years, and he's like really older in the clubhouse, and he helps, the younger players, he adds culture to the team. That's like something that they talk about a lot, is like you want to have some older players that are going to guide the rookies. Like, is he one of those players? And how many home runs has he hit? Is he a good base runner? Does he steal a lot of bases? You want to know like those cute little facts, like my favorite player is Adley Rutschman because from the Orioles, because he is a catcher, but he's also a switch hitter, and I love switch hitters. I think that it's so versatile to be able to hit from both sides of the plate. And he wasn't very good last season, but in his rookie year, he was very good. He hit home runs from both sides of the plate, and he was in the home run derby his second year. So like little things like that, like where nobody really talks about Adley anymore, but he did used to be like one of those players that people would talk about. I guess a better example of an underdog player would be Polanco. Jorge Polanco from the Mariners. Nobody saw him coming, but he was there. in the postseason, okay? He's not the reason the Mariners didn't win. I can tell you that much. He was so clutch in the postseason. You should list things like, yeah, he hit a walk-off home run. A walk-off home run just means that they won the game because of that home run. It was the bottom of the inning. It had to be if it's a walk-off home run, that means it was a home game. It was the bottom of the ninth. It was a tied game, or they were losing. And so therefore they were forced into the bottom of the ninth inning. So then they hit a home run, or they hit a base hit. And because of that, the team was able to win the game, ultimately. Things like that, like look up. So look up, just go through the lineup, okay? Choose your team, go through the lineup, choose number 8, okay? Teams typically put their least favorite players, if you will. I wouldn't say they're not as good, because these are Major League Baseball players. They're all good. But their batting average might be a little bit lower. But that does not mean they do not contribute, okay? You can say, well, I know his batting average is low, but he has, 30 RBIs or something. An RBI is as runs batted in. So how many times has he allowed other players in front of him to score and give a point to the team? So it's like, how many points has this person actually accumulated? Because that's also really important. So yeah, little things like that, where people would be like, oh, I didn't know that about Polanco, or I didn't know that about Adley. That's so interesting. It makes it seem like you know what you're talking about. But also knowing popular players. You need to know about Aaron Judge. You need to know about Shohei Ohtani, okay? Know about Shohei Ohtani. Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, for sure. If you're talking about the World Series, you're going to want to talk about them. You want to talk about Will Smith. Yes, his name is Will Smith. He is the catcher for the LA Dodgers. And he's super good. He's the reason why they won what was it? Was it game 3? Or was that Freddie? I think that was Freddie. No, Will Smith is the reason they won the World Series. He was the home run that was hit in the top of the 10th inning, dear God. Or 11th, the top of the 11th inning. Will Smith hits a home run. Blue Jays don't score because of Yamamoto. The game ends in a double play. Rough. It was rough to be a Blue Jay that night. I tell ya, there's nothing worse than losing in the bottom of an inning. To a double play. Yikes. So those are the kinds of things. Maybe I should have a World Series episode where you can listen to this before you go and talk about the World Series with some random person who wants to talk to you, and you don't have anything to talk about, but you know that they like baseball, and you can be like, I don't really know that much about baseball, but I did hear a lot about the World Series. I've heard it was very exciting. Have a conversation starter. But anyway, got a little off track. Here's the third tip. So now that you know your 2 teams and you have a player from each team, now you need to know about those popular players, having a good fact about them. So for Shohei Ohtani, easy. He hit 55 home runs, I'm pretty sure, this season. I'll double check that. He hit 55 home runs last season. Amazing. And what game did he start? Was it game 4? It couldn't have been. I think it was game 3. No, he didn't start game 3. He started game 4. But no, not in the World Series. It was in the the championship series. He played game 4 of the championship series, I believe. And he struck out 10 batters, which is a lot. And he hit 3 home runs. Is that right? That can't be right. Let me double check that. It's right. Crazy phenomenal player. You need to know those basic facts about Shohei Ohtani. Basic facts about Aaron Judge. he won, I'm pretty sure, MVP, or the American League Player of the Year, or that's what it's called, I believe, because he is just a really good player in the American League. He won it last year too, and I believe this was 2023 when he hit 63 home runs and set the record in baseball for the amount of home runs hit in a single season. Incredible. So yeah, those are two of the most well-known players in baseball that you have to know something about. The rest of the well-known players are not as well-known as these two. So definitely know something about them. And then 4, learn some very basic baseball terms. I've been kind of giving you some like a little pop quizzy, little words here and there. And I do plan to do an entire episode going over all the baseball terms. So definitely tune in for that. But you want to know things like this team is above or below 500. That was something that I had to learn myself. I taught myself baseball a couple of years ago because I was just so interested and I really wanted to know more about baseball. So I took it upon myself to teach it to myself just from watching the game. Honestly, if you want to learn baseball, you should also watch baseball on Apple TV. They have so basically every single channel, well, not every single channel, but most channels have or streaming service or whatever, they will have a specific day where they play baseball. And for Apple, their day was Fridays. So every Friday I was watching the game, listening really closely, and I would recommend Apple specifically because at least when I was watching it, I stopped watching it for this reason now, but when I was watching it, it was super, super helpful because they were literally going over what every single thing meant. And they don't usually do that. Announcers do not usually do that. And, once I started to actually understand the game, it got super annoying and I stopped watching it. But that was also the very first year that they had done that. So now I don't know if they still, will be so over explaining everything anymore. But I do think that they keep a backlog of all of their games that they recorded. So I would say go back to 2022 if you can and watch an Apple TV sponsored, I guess is how you say that, game. Doesn't matter which game. And yeah, those announcers are explaining every single thing as things are happening. It's so, so, so helpful. But also the reason I stopped watching it because it was very annoying after a while, once you actually understand. But yeah, definitely would recommend that. I remember being super confused about what above or below 500, but basically it just means are they winning or losing over half the time, basically. So if they're they won 10 games out of 20, they're at 500. They've won 9 games out of 20, they're below 500. They've won 11 games out of 20, they're above 500. It's very, very simple, actually. Most of these terms, once you break them down, you're like, oh, that's what that means. ERA, so earned run average. This is specific for pitchers. I should do an episode about ERAs for catchers and whether or not catchers should actually be winning or losing, because catchers are calling the game most of the time. Catchers are the root of baseball, I would say, especially for the players that are calling the games themselves. A lot of the older pitchers will call their own games. Very not done anymore. People don't really do that anymore. They usually rely very heavily on their catcher, and catcher, I think, is one of the least, or the most the most underrated super confusing position. So anyway, another one would be learning what a plate appearance is versus an at bat, and ducks on the pond, like little sayings like that, or just like OBP, like on base percentage, just all these little letters and like little math that you have to do and like stuff like that. Maybe I'll go through a baseball card and just like explain everything. But yeah, you don't need to know all of them. Honestly, all you need to really know is ERA and batting average. Know what the batting average is. So the batting average is and how often the player gets a hit. And not like hitting the bat, but like a hit is when the ball actually lands and touches the ground. Typically in the outfield, but there can be infield hits. So how many times are they actually able to produce a hit? And an average batting average was ranging from somewhere between like 23, like 0.23, I'd say, or a little bit lower, I guess. Maybe 0.22 to like 3 is like you are like doing really well if you get to 3. But I would say like an average MLB player is probably like 2.3 to 2.5, or 0.25, 0.23 to 0.25. And so what does that mean? So this is why I love baseball. You know, these players are going up to the plate, and it's just those two players, the pitcher and the batter. It's just them against each other. No one else exists in the entire world. It's just them two. So, like I said, like 22% to 30% is a batting average. That means the rest of the time, so what's that, 78 to, or 68 to 70%, I can't do that. Like, the other 70% of the time, they're failing. They go up 3 swinging strikes, they go sit their little booty back down, okay? And they got to go up again, like 20 minutes later, and try to do it again. And you can't, focus on the fact that you didn't get the hit that last time. You have to go up fresh every single time. And that just reminds me of like everyday life. You can't let what happened yesterday affect you today, because if you let it bother you and consume your thoughts, you're not going to be able to think clearly. You're not going to be able to execute the way you would like to. So it's better to be able to let things go, let it roll off. Even when you're doing well, like you can enjoy it for the moment, but don't overdo it, because then it's going to feel even worse when you don't do well, because nobody is perfect. Life is not perfect. Things are going to happen. You're going to change. Things change around you. Things are sometimes out of your control. Sometimes the umpire makes a bad call and it changes the outcome of the game. And that's something that you can't control. I think baseball shows you that you have no control. You have no control over what happens. Therefore, just enjoy the moment. Live in the moment. Do your best in that moment. Don't focus on what you did before or what you're going to do next. You have to take it one pitch at a time. And I love that. I love that about baseball. But next, so number 5. Got a little off track again, but number 5, know 2 historical baseball facts. Just 2. I would say go on ChatGPT. I mean, hey, I don't know how y'all feel about AI, but she's here. Might as well use her. So I would go on ChatGPT, especially if you're pressed for time and you really don't have a lot of time to really look it up. But I would give the prompt, give me 10 baseball history facts that every fan knows. It'll give you 10. You can pick 2 that are easy to remember. Boom. Number 6, know 2 current baseball facts. So Like, again, this time of year, people are going to be talking about the World Series, but if it's January, February, March, early year, people really aren't talking about baseball, but they will be next year because of the World Baseball Classic, which I will be covering. Not like live, I guess, but I will be doing some episodes about the World Baseball Classic. So, in that first quarter of the year, what you want to know is the World Baseball Classic happening? It would be a good time to talk about it next year because the World Baseball Classic does not happen every year. It only happens every couple of years. So it would be cool to bring that up because then they're going to be like, oh my gosh, do you know about baseball? Because nobody knows about the World Baseball Classic. I can go into that in another time. And then if it's February, March, April, well, I guess February, March for a normal year where it's not a baseball classic, you're going to want to talk about spring training. You need to know their favorite team and your favorite team's spring training location. My favorite team is the Orioles. Our spring training location is Florida, Sarasota, Florida, at Ed Smith Stadium. So every year, between late February, I believe it's the 23rd or 24th this year, February 20-something, all the players go down to Florida, even some of my minor league players. Oh, I should do an episode about the tiers of baseball. That'll be really interesting. Some of the minor league players get invited, to come to spring training. It's kind of just like a bunch of scrimmages. So like there's just practice games between teams, just for funsies, just to get the pitchers warmed up. Honestly, that's really what it's for. It's for the pitchers. But it's also for the batters too, to like retrain their eye, get into the real game situation. And that lasts until I think about a week before opening day. Opening day next year is the earliest it's ever been in baseball history, apparently, March 26th. So put that on your calendar, sis. March 26th, 2026 will be opening day. And I have to look it back up, but there will be, every year there's an international game that plays, so check to see if your team is playing in that international game. It's the first game of the season, but it is not the same as opening day. Very distinct description or distinction. Not the same as opening day. The first game of the season is always played in another country just for like funsies. There's usually 2 teams and they like go there and it's like a whole thing. And that's like the first official game of the season. It counts towards 162. So those 2 teams reach 162 before the rest of them. And I think actually, does it count towards, do those teams play 163? I'd have to look that up. I don't know. But then opening day happens a couple of days later. So that first game of the season happens sometime between the last day of spring training and opening day, which, like I mentioned, is like about a week. So then those players have to come all the way back from Timbuktu. Last year it was Japan. So you got to come all the way back from like a completely different time zone. Time for work. Clock in. It's a beautiful thing, and then the season begins. So if it's like early in the year, that's what you should be talking about. Talk about spring training. Talk about your team in the Cactus League or the Grapefruit League. The Orioles are the Grapefruit League in Florida, or your team might be in Arizona, which is the Cactus League. You need to know these things. And if it's mid-season, so it's like April, May, June, July, the first third of the season, you need to know who is on a winning streak, who is on a losing streak, who just like called up their number 1 prospect, okay? Who is doing what? Like, get some good hot takes, I would recommend, if it's mid-year, middle of the season kind of time, go watch MLB Network, honey. Get a little 7-day free trial. Watch MLB Network every day. Just even an hour. Honestly, you probably can watch it on YouTube. I don't know. But watch it for just a little time. Boom. you're going to know everything you need to know, okay? It is the news, honey. MLB Network is the news. It tells you everything. So, highly recommend that. It'll give you a little bit of gossip to talk about. It'll tell you who's doing what, okay? And they give like a little rundown of like the recent games that just happened, so you'll get a breadth of knowledge just from watching TV or also listening to my podcast. Number 7, you need to have an opinion about one of these hot topics that you just learned about. So last year, 2025 season, torpedo bats were the big thing. Nobody liked torpedo bats. Everybody hated them except for the players because they were doing so much better. Well, it really only noticeably affected Jazz Chisholm Jr., the shortstop, ? Third baseman, I think, for the Yankees, and obviously Cal Raleigh, the catcher, switch hitting catcher. He's also a switching catcher for the Seattle Mariners. I don't know how many other players were using torpedo bats, but those two players, like, very noticeably got way, way better, and they were using the torpedo bats. You want to know if someone just got ejected, or if there was some sort of tweet that just happened, or, or trade rumors, something like that, where it's kind of interesting. So yeah, you want to know about something hot that everybody's like kind of talking about in the baseball world. There's always something going on. And so having like a little stance, being like, I actually love torpedo bats, or the pitch clock. People talk about that a lot. I personally do not care for a pitch clock. Yes, I know it really saved time for the game. So if someone brings up the pitch clock, you can say, well, yes, I think that the pitch clock is great because it, reduced the time of the game significantly, literally significantly. It was a significant difference. I'm a scientist, by the way. So when I say significant, I mean it. Okay. P is less than 0.05. It definitely a very significant difference, a noticeable difference, I would say, as well as a watcher of the game. It shaved off at least 30 minutes, which is significant. How many times can she say significant in an episode? But yeah, now it's averages about 2.5 hours for a game when it used to average a little over 3. And people would think that was too long. Whatever. I'm a pitcher's girl, okay? I think the pitcher deserves as much time as he would like between pitches. It's very dangerous, like throwing your arm like that, like repeatedly every 10 freaking seconds. Well, no, the pitch clock is 15 seconds, no runners on, 18 seconds with a runner on. So that's kind of the difference. So yeah, know some little facts. So there you have it. Those are the 7 tips that I think are the most important to know. I guess another little bonus is to kind of get out of the conversation gracefully. You should always, I've learned in my schooling, my years and years of schooling, redirect. If you don't know the answer, admit that you don't know and redirect to something that you do know. I don't really know about that. I haven't heard about that before. But what I do know about blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not sure how many home runs Aaron Judge hit this year, but I do know that he hit over 60 2 years ago. And that was incredible. Something like that. And then like a little exit strategy, just being like, wow, baseball is so interesting. It's so wild. Can't believe, I'm so glad that more people are getting into it, or, whatever. It's like American's pastime, right? And then you can pivot away, try to like close the loop on the conversation. And so that way you can't get trapped. And I guess also just listen to my little podcast. We're going to be going through weekly recaps once the season starts. We're going to do some player spotlights. I'll be doing my soft takes, my hot topics, and current events, some little historical nuggets, underdog player stories as well. So then you can just listen while you're driving or cooking or doing your nails or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you know everything there is to know about baseball, and you're going to be talking to your family, and they're going to be like, who is this girl? Who is she? How does she know all these things? Well, I listen to Baseball for Girls. Oh, but here's a good bonus. So let's say you're listening to this right now, and you're on the way. Okay, you're on the way to the place. You don't really have that much time to go and learn history. Okay, I need to know right now. These are the things you need to do. So, most importantly, you need to know who is the favorite team of these people. Which team are they going to be talking about? If it's right now, they're probably going to be talking about the Dodgers, but you might not be around Dodgers fans. So you need to know what kind of fans you're going to be around. You need to ask. Get some insight. And these are the top 4 things you need to know. When was their last World Series win? Have they won a World Series? Know 2 of their star player, their number 1 star player and another star player. Know one of their underdog players. Just know their names. Even just knowing their names makes you seem like you know what you're talking about. And know the team's record. If they ended the season above or below 500, how many wins did they have? You can go into ChatGPT, ask all these little questions about the Dodgers, about the Blue Jays, about the Orioles, and it'll give it to you in 0.5 seconds. And then, boom, you can get out the car and be ready. And then take a little screenshot. So that way you can go back to it in a few minutes when you completely forget all the things you just read. Yeah. I mean, if you have a little bit of extra time, like if it's this afternoon or this evening, I would say turn on MLB Network and just watch. I really like all of them. So it's literally like news where there's just different people every hour doing like a different kind of show. They have like a morning talk show. Well, I guess MLB TV, but MLB Network is the morning talk show. Those people are completely palatable. Okay. It's like Good Morning America, but for baseball. So it's really easy to understand. The deeper you go into the day, though, the more difficult it will be to understand, because then I guess people are getting off work. I don't know. But it definitely gets a little bit thicker, okay, in the concepts and like what's going on. They go a lot more in depth about things. My favorite show is MLB Now, because he goes into what he calls like baseball-y plays, where he like shows like how they were able to manipulate the rule, or like how they were able to get away with something, or like how good this double play was, or all these things. It's super nitty gritty for sure. Would not recommend if you don't know what it's talking about. But if that's all you got, if it's noon, I'm pretty sure it comes on at noon or 1 o'clock. If that's the time, honey, that's all you got. But I'm sure you can probably find clips at least on YouTube. And then from that, you want to get at least one good hot topic opinion to talk about. Even if you can't really think of anything, torpedo bat is a good thing to say. Pitch clock is a good thing to say. Balls and strikes, good thing to say. Oh, I didn't go over balls and strikes. If you have time to look it over, look it over. We can talk about that another time. But, baseball is math. Baseball is history. But most importantly, baseball is stories. Understanding the storylines of these people. How is their life going outside of the game? I would recommend watching the Red Sox documentary, the most recent one, where they literally were following around players. You could really see like them in a more human light. And I think that's really important. And so if you really know the right stories, you know the history, you know how to do the words that they're going to say, you can talk to anybody about baseball. And I wish you luck. And please continue to come back and we'll talk more. We'll get into the nitty-gritty eventually. We're going to start off slow. We'll probably do some terms, have a little pop quiz. You can discover who your favorite team is. It doesn't have to be whoever your family likes. No one in my family likes baseball, so I just chose a team, and that's just my team. But I also have other favorite teams. Like I said, the Mariners are my favorite team on the West Coast. I live on the East Coast, so one of my team is the Orioles. But, find a team near you, but then also find a team that's not near you that you can also watch. I love having a West Coast team because the games always start at like 10 p.m. So then I can watch it before I go to sleep, I'll always have a game on, I'll always have a game. So that's a good way to really integrate it more into your life. Having favorite teams, having favorite players, knowing things about the players, and realizing that they're people too. They're going to make mistakes. Like I said, they're failing 70% of the time. Yeah, you just gotta be softer on them and be softer on yourself. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again next week. Bye. Oh my gosh, wait. Hey babes, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Baseball for Girls. I probably forgot to plug the things that I'm doing, including my Instagram, so I just wanted to come back here and plug all my little things really quick. So my Instagram is baseball4girls_, and I just kind of post on there whenever I upload a new episode. I also have a baseball score tracker. It has about 40 weeks in it, and it has like some notes sections so that you can also keep track of games throughout the week. I use it for Major League Baseball games, but you can also use it for minor league games, your kids' games, your friends that are playing baseball, whatever. It's really just a nice way to keep track of all the games and the scores from each game, especially since baseball is typically played in series. So you should check that out. It's just called Baseball Score Log, and it can be found on Amazon, and it's only $9.99. I also include how I personally keep track of games as a little bit of an instruction guide on the first couple of pages, so you can keep score like the same way that I do. Also, I am in the process of writing a ebook, so it'll be a Baseball for Beginners ebook that I have been working on for the past couple of weeks. It'll just kind of walk through the rules of the game, how to watch it for the first time, and just give you a general idea for how to understand baseball from a very, very basic perspective. So I'll definitely let y'all know whenever that is available. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.